Hey, Joyful Journeyer, Nita Adams here, your host, and today I'm pleased to introduce you to Maria Angelova. Maria is a disruptor, author, speaker, communist. She's not a communist, but she is. She is a columnist. Okay, I'm keeping this. A columnist,
Fantastic.
a podcast host, Pilates teacher, mindset coach, and founder and CEO of Rebellious International. I'm so glad you're not a communist, though. All
Yes,
right.
there is the relation. Maybe that's what you were thinking about.
Maybe, I don't know. And today, Maria and I are going to talk about the power of mindset. Maria is on a mission to change the face of the wellness industry through shifting the mindset around self-care and fitness. As a mind-body coach, Maria's superpower is alignment through a strong body and a calm mind so people can live a life of freedom, happiness, and fulfillment. And prior to founding Rebellious International, Maria was a finance director and a professional with 17 plus years of progressive corporate experience in telecommunications, finance, and the insurance industries. She was born in Bulgaria. Maria moved to the United States in 1992, and she's just this super smart woman, having graduated with the highest honors in her class in finance at both the Georgia State University and the University of Georgia. She says her favorite job, though, is being a mom. Welcome, Maria. Thank you.
It's so great to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
I love having you here. And I didn't know before reading your bio that you were born in Bulgaria. Did you know I was in Bulgaria just a couple months ago?
Yes, I saw your post. Yes, and I
Okay.
enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a beautiful country, isn't it?
It is a beautiful country. I loved it. And I loved the food and the people and just everything about Bulgaria. It's a place I definitely want to go back and experience more of. What part of Bulgaria are you from?
I'm from the capital, Sofia.
Okay, and that's where we spent our time was mostly in Sofia.
Yeah.
We cycled from from Albania, and Sofia was our final destination. And then we got on a night train to Turkey from Sofia. But what a beautiful country. So anyways, I'm excited to learn this little piece of information about you. So very cool. Okay.
Excited to visit my country.
Yeah. All right. 1992, you moved to the United States. Is this when you also jumped from being a finance guru to being a fitness guru?
Oh gosh, Anita, you're aging me. Come on now. No,
Sorry about that.
92, I moved to the United States because my dad was invited to be an exchange scientist at the University of Georgia. So him and the rest of the family came for what was 6 months visit, which turned out to be in a 30 plus year visit. And that's when I started high school, actually in Athens, Georgia, where the University of Georgia is. And I graduated school there, high school. I went to UGA, did my undergraduate degree, worked for a while, and then I quit my finance job in 2016.
Okay.
My rebellious journey in 2016.
Fantastic. Now that's quite the jump from high level executive finance position to moving into the fitness Pilates. I know is your passion, and working with people in creating that wellness in the mind, body, and soul. Can you tell me about that journey, that shift? What happened for you to make that what feels like a very drastic shift from one industry into a completely different?
So it's interesting. Fitness was a side gig, a hobby for me for a long time. I started going regularly to the gym when I was 12. I started teaching fitness group exercise classes when I was 16. And even throughout my career, professional career, I always taught gym classes on the side for fun. I discovered Pilates in 2012, excuse me. And I was very surprised by what Pilates was. It didn't fit. I used to teach the high intensity, sweaty workouts. And my first Pilates workout was very, I have to say, blah. And I was like, what kind of a workout is this? I didn't sweat. I didn't burn. I didn't feel my core. I felt awkward on the machine. There was something intriguing about it. So I stuck with it. I got certified in 2012. And I honestly think what happened in it is that 1 hour session for me became like a therapy session. It was an hour that I had to focus purely onto my body, how I'm moving, what I'm doing. And I couldn't think of the work, of the kid, of what's to do, of the project, whatever else you've got going on. It was truly an hour all to myself. And I credit that for allowing me to connect to my intuition. And it was, my move was, if you can believe it, was totally intuition driven. Frequently people ask me, did you hate your job? Nope, I did not. I actually had the best boss, which actually made me last at the job for longer than I originally planned. I was working with an amazing team. I actually really liked and enjoyed what I used to do before. But there was something inside me that was pushing me to make this change. Since I was probably about 20, since I started working, in the back of my head, I had this voice saying, one day I'm going to have my own fitness studio. But that was like one day down the road. And as I started climbing the corporate ladder, that voice kind of started getting quieter and quieter until one day it was like, no, we're going to do this. And it was unconventional. It was atypical. It was scary. And yeah, it was purely an intuition driven change.
That's really fascinating. I'm interested in a couple things that you're saying. One, I totally get that intuition drive, like when that you would make such a dramatic change based on your intuition. I've been there. I know what that feels like, and it can be, people will respond like you're doing what, you know?
Right.
And it's hard to explain. It's just like I have this understanding that this is mine to do, but you can't really explain it to others. I find it also interesting that your intuition or your inner voice of wisdom, which I often call it, or your soul voice, got quieter because you were ignoring it. And
Yeah.
I think that's really important that we presence that, because that's what happens when we, and I believe it's why so many people cannot hear the whispers of their soul, because they have ignored it for so long that they can't hear that internal guidance that's trying to move them in the direction that's going to be best for their life, that's going to create the greatest happiness. Can you go back to that time and share with us a little bit more about how it triggered, how you were able to tap into that inner knowing again? Was it through the Pilates class? Was it just one class, or was it a series of classes that helped? Okay, she's nodding her head. Speak, tell us more.
So yeah, I don't think it's something that just happened. For at least for me, it wasn't an overnight thing. It was a process where, well, first of all, the point that you make, I think it is so key that the more we do things that we're told we should do, we must do, we have to do, we should do, this is how you do it. And we fall into that, following the rules, following the shoulds and the must. The more we do that, the more we disconnect from who we truly are. And we disconnect from our soul's calling, intuition, sixth sense, whatever you would like to call it. And then for me, it was a process where the awareness started creeping in of like, huh, the thought comes, right? And then it comes again. It was fascinating. And again, this sounds kind of crazy for somebody who is not experiencing it, but I would literally get off on the office floor, the elevator doors would open. I had to make a right, go through one door where the reception was, and then make a left to go through another set of doors. And when I would slide my badge and walk in, I would literally feel like I'm getting suffocated.
Wow.
And that sense of suffocation started intensifying to where it was like, oh my gosh, like, what is that? And I really think that was my intuition, was like, how many times do I have to say this? Let's go ahead and let's do this. But it's scary to leave a career and education and something you have built for so long, to start from scratch and to start basically on something that you love. That's a hobby.
Yeah.
That's, not something that I had already built on the side and was like, oh, let's just give that a go. So, but yeah, it was a process, and it started. I had a conversation with my husband in 2015, the spring of 2015. And I think he totally dismissed me. He thought like, she was never going to do that. So then a year later, we had another conversation. And once again, I really don't think he believed that I was going to quit. And he was like, yeah, I would just give it time and get ready for this. And then I was like, 6 months and I'm going to quit. And I'm telling you, like, I was like 6 months and I'm going to quit. And that's what I did.
Wow. Gave him fair warning.
Yeah, I did. Granted, he didn't take me seriously, but I surely did.
Wow. Wow, that's really interesting. Um, just going back a little bit to you saying that you had this constriction in your throat. I believe that's just another way of us tuning into what our body's telling us, tuning into the inner wisdom. So it comes in as a thought initially, and it piques your interest, and you start to pay attention to that, but you're not taking action, and then your body starts constricting. Just like, this is, you got all this into me. I'm gonna strangle you. Yeah, and so then you start to pay more and more attention. So I think it's just good for people to hear that it can, your inner wisdom can speak to you in different ways, that your body is telling you something, and you got to pay attention. Because we're here to talk about mindset, I'm curious if you feel that you also possess, so you listened to your inner wisdom, you listened and you took action. Do you possess, or do you think there was a certain mindset that you have that enabled you to have the courage, the confidence to move into a new role, to totally let go of your identity? And I get that whole, like, you're a smart corporate businesswoman who has had success 17 years in this one field, to become a Pilates instructor. Like, there's kind of like this, it
Yeah,
almost
I
feels like a
know.
disconnect, right? And people will, again, they could judge you. Like you said, your husband just kind of like ignored what you were saying. He just dismissed it. So what was going on in the mental side, the mind side, that enabled you to make that shift?
So it's very interesting that you asked that, because I do have to say, I got into it a little bit cocky, because I was like, I'm an A student, I'm an honor student, I've done so great in my corporate career, right? I know this, I'm going to figure this out. And mind you, I come from a communist country where there was no entrepreneurship, right? My families were academia, so there's no entrepreneurship there. My aunt, years not too long ago, before we moved here, she became an entrepreneur, but she's the only entrepreneur that I knew. But I kind of got a little bit fed by my ego, like, oh, I got this, I'm gonna figure it out. Well, the journey started with, let's just say, a crash, because I got out and I quickly figured out, like, I have no idea where to start. And at that point, it was a very rough awakening, because I had no salary. We were paying crazy money for Cobra. My husband was like, he thought I had lost my mind giving up my corporate career. I found a lot of judgment. So people were pulling away thinking she's crazy. And it turned out to be a very dark place.
Hmm.
And I will tell you, the blessing of that dark place, I don't think things happen randomly to us, was I was at the point where it was like, and the irony of it is, my company was called Rebellious, right? So I was thinking in the dark, thinking I'm being rebellious, and there was nothing rebellious about the experience of self-pity and blame. And the good news is that created a lot of awareness of, like, okay, what are we going to do about it? So the easy choice was go back to corporate, or let's figure out what it is that I need to do to make this a success. So I actually got myself into mindset coaching. And the first summit that I attended, I was like, oh my gosh, it was stuff I had not been exposed to. It was new things. And I was just shocked how it is possible. I was almost 40 years old to have never thought about any of those things that they were talking about. And I even got to the summit like a little bit cocky. I was like, I don't have like childhood, stories and stuff. Like, I'm good. And it was so delusional. Like, that's probably a great word to use. And I remember, and to this day, I know there is a recording of this somewhere of me being in the mic in that summit, like probably sounding so ridiculous because I was like, oh, I've already quit my job. Like, why are things not turning around? They're like, because now you have to take many more steps like that to do what you want to do. And I was like, no, I've already taken the scary step. Now it needs to be easy. Like, I don't even know
Mhm.
what I was thinking. So from there on, there was a lot of awareness of like, whoa, I have so many limiting beliefs. There's work to be done. And, the work started with me, which the state of my business reflects the state of my mindset. I firmly believe that the state of our life is a reflection of our mindset.
I believe that too. That's great. And I love that you recognized that you needed to do something. You needed to figure it out. And I think that is key. There's a couple things that you said that are actually key. You use the word ego and cocky. I would like to change those two words to confidence. You had a confidence that you could do it, or at least figure it out. And I really think that's a great quality to have that kind of confidence. And I also believe 100% that that's something that we can learn, that we can develop within ourselves. And then the next thing that you said is that you needed to figure out what to do. So you had the confidence to make the leap, and then you realized, holy shit, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to do this, but I'm gonna figure it out. And then you registered into a mindset summit, which is super cool because that clearly opened the door for your path. It took you on this path to teach others how to have that mindset. I really love that, and I think I post a lot about this sort of stuff in my social media because confidence and taking action. You can build confidence, and you build confidence by taking action. It's so important that we need to step into what we want to do by just figuring out the little baby steps. Was there any internal guidance, any inner wisdom that helped you to go down that path and signing up for the summit? I mean, I know that was a long time ago, but do you feel like there was something that was guiding you along that path, or it's just like you're logically this is the next step?
I think it was probably a combination. I met somebody who I believe in like people's energies and reading people's energy. And I also think there was that seeking of like, I don't even know what's next. Like, what should I do? Like, where should I go? What should I seek? I wasn't even sure what it is that I'm seeking. So I think the combination of the two, part of it was logical. Yes, something needs to change. And part of it was like, okay, what this person is talking about, what she's talking, the summit that she's going to, that sounds like potentially could be something. I really was not sure what the summit would be like, but she praised that coach and she said she has had tremendous, her life has changed post working with him. So I was like, I mean, at that point, like, what is there to lose?
Hmm.
I will tell you, as the journey started, as an entrepreneur, you probably can relate to that. The journey is not a straightforward linear line from the bottom up. It's more like a roller coaster. I will 100% tell you that my self-care and what I preach today is what allowed me to, skyrocket my business. Because going from here, to here, you go to a lot of trials and tribulations. There is the doubts and, the what people say and what people hear. You don't trust yourself. You do what I then perceived as mistakes, which really were lessons that I was taking. But it's that journey that you have to stay grounded. And, if there's like one message and have to tell, no matter what you are, an entrepreneur, a person, is you have to stay grounded. So for me, my self-care practice, it's a non-negotiable to this
So, okay,
day.
and I want to get into what your self-care practice is. What is the connection between mindset and self-care?
Okay, so let's say something happens that, I don't know, I make a phone call that didn't go the way that I wanted it to go. So the old me would now be mad, upset, raging, whatever it is, maybe blaming, why did this go? Maybe it's feeling self-pity. When your mind is quiet and when you can respond to something not going your way versus react,
Hmm.
you preserve a lot of energy. Your mental state is completely different. I used to have panic attacks. I used to have, I used to be so stressed. I used to not be able to sleep. And I will tell you, like, because of my self-care, now I respond to things that don't go the way that I want to. And I remind myself, it's a constant mindset. I remind myself of trust and surrender and flow, and there are no mistakes. All of these things are part of my regular practice, but they all start by me being grounded to myself, also being able to tune into myself and to my compass and guide versus the array of opinions that are around me of what I should do, how I should do it, and all of that. Does that make sense?
It does. And I'm curious, do you feel like mindset, the having the right mindset has to come before you can create a good self-care practice, or do you create a good self-care practice to develop the right mindset?
That is a great. I honestly think they go so hand in hand
They
because
do, don't they?
what I teach is I use the body and movement to get to the mindset, because what we learn in how, like you started by saying, listening to your body. That is what I teach people to do, because our body gives us feedback 24/7. The problem is we're so disconnected that we cannot hear our body. So to me, a self-care routine that allows you to quiet this down, I call it a calm mind,
Mhm.
allows you to have the capacity to even consider your mindset. Because if this is on overdrive, there's no space for you to think otherwise. You know it, you know how it should be done. And like you said in the beginning, when you follow your intuition, that is a very different lifestyle than when you follow common sense and logic.
Yeah.
So it's, if you're very go, 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 ego driving, success, achievement driving things, it's a very different lifestyle. And for a lot of people, it's hard to disconnect from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very hard. Yeah, I would agree with you about the self-care and mindset kind of they go very hand in hand, don't they? And as you improve one, you can improve the other, and they are very supportive, mutually compatible. I noticed on your blog that you interviewed a number of very successful entrepreneurs, leaders, people in high executive positions about their self-care practices. Did you notice any kind of particular trend or things that these leaders were doing that was helping them be so successful?
100%. Stick to the
That's
basics. I mean, as a society, we think, there's the new fitness trend, there's the new gadget that's going to measure something new, there's the new supplement, there is whatever new thing. It goes back to the basics. And as I tell my clients, when it comes to regards to fitness, the basics will never change. In the context of fitness, move, eat the right foods, sleep well, hydrate. It's the foundational pillars of wellness. There is, they can use, let's say, for example, different mindset techniques. Some can meditate, some can journal, some can read, but it's all around mindfulness. And that's what I always tell people: you have to find what works for you. But I think the very strong message is do the basics.
and those basics again are movement, eating well,
Nutrition, hydration,
hydration,
sleep,
sleep.
sleep well. Yeah. Many
Um,
of them talk about being surrounded by the right people,
yeah.
like the tribe, what I call the tribe. But these are, I also personally put into the equation. Some people will put sustainability. I also consider environmental toxin reduction
Right.
as part of that. What kind of stuff do you put on your skin? Um, but you consistently see, and it's very interesting because it will be a C-level person to a life coach to a therapist to like people in varying industry, people doing very different things, but the message is very consistent.
That's really interesting. And that's it's simple too. Like you said, to the basics. You don't have to have like a major fitness routine. You don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and run 10 miles every day. You need to move, whatever that movement is. So it could be dance, it could be Pilates, it could be yoga, it could be walking. Is walking
Yeah,
considered an
totally.
okay? Good, because I
Totally.
love walking.
Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
good. Eating well, hydration, and one more
Sleep
time. And sleep, and sleep. Okay.
is very
Basic.
key. Yeah,
Very basic. Awesome. I
very
love that.
basic.
And Tell us what is your specific ritual, and is it a morning self-care practice, or is it, and does that, and that's the second part of the question, does it matter when you have your self-care practice?
You know what? I say if you can do it in the morning, go for it. If you cannot, just find whatever works for you, right? Everybody's got a different schedule. So if I tell you you have to do it at 5 a.m. and you're like, I'm not a morning person, you will likely never do that, right? So if you
Right.
have to do it at 5 p.m., do it at 5 p.m. If you need to, I was talking to another client yesterday, if you need to split it throughout the day and maybe do movement in the morning, maybe, I don't know, breathing at lunchtime, cooking healthy meal in the evening, maybe that's your routine, then go ahead and do that. My routine is very heavily based in movement. So whenever I have a chance to move, Pilates is my baby. So I do
Mm.
something Pilates every day. It could be a different piece of equipment. It could be just moving on the mat. It could be just doing stretches, but I definitely do movement. I personally like to run. I don't do long runs. I just run enough to get my heart beating, and because I actually enjoy running. I love to walk. So anytime I have an opportunity to walk, I would walk. And something else I would like to mention, Anita, is sometimes I'll tell people, go get a cup of coffee and go for a walk. And they're like, oh, that's my exercise. Start moving away from thinking of exercise. Think, what can I do for my body that feels good? So I'm going to go meet my friend, grab a cup of coffee, and we're going to go for a walk. Like, get out of like, I have to do this, I must do this. Find things that you enjoy doing. Like you said, you love walking. Perfect. You love hiking. Perfect. You like biking. Do that. You like dancing. Whatever it is that you like to do, just do it, and do it consistently. That's key.
Yeah, for sure. And I like that. It's that's a mindset shift in itself, isn't it? It's moving away from what I have to do, I should do this, and that there's a heavy weighted feel to it, to choosing to do something because it feels good for your body. I like that. And it's, yeah, just focusing on the movement and what feels good. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So you said on your that you are on a mission to change the face of the wellness industry through shifting the mindset around self-care and fitness. So to me, that statement suggests that there is something wrong with the wellness industry. What is the mind shift that needs to happen there?
Well, to what exactly we just talked about, I think fitness is frequently viewed as a way to lose weight. And
Ah.
what I teach my clients is that is the cherry on top. You
Mm.
move for so many other benefits. Our body was designed to move. So you move because it feels good, because it helps you quiet down your mind. It's good for your mental well-being. It's good because it gets the circulation going, because it keeps your joints oiled. It keeps your muscles strong. It keeps your heart beating. The breathing feeds your lungs. I mean, there is like a myriad of benefits, right? It keeps your bones strong. It's not just, well, I'm going to be skinny and therefore I'm healthy. There are plenty
Right.
of skinny people who are not healthy and who are not moving enough. So I definitely think there's an opportunity to shift the mindset around that. I also think many think of fitness as something miserable. I have to go to the gym and kill myself. And like you said, and
Yeah.
therefore I don't want to go do it. So if
Right.
you teach that mindset to, I tell people, if you fall in love with movement, you never ever have to work out a day in your life. And I think that is so true, because then your body starts craving it. So if we shift that mindset of, this is yet another thing on my to-do list, which is super long to begin with, and this is something that is nurturing for me, and I will do whatever feels good for me, then you would want to do it versus dread doing it.
Absolutely. So, do you have any mindset tips or hacks that will help us change the way we think about exercise?
That's what I preach to my clients every single day, because I constantly repeat what feels good, and I also teach them, if something doesn't feel right, if something is causing you pain as you move, that is your body's feedback of, I don't like this. So the whole idea of pushing through pain, that is not a good idea. And I always tell people, when you work with me, we take that out of the window. We tune into your body and we meet your body. That's another important thing. Meet your body where it is. And I teach people to create a trust relationship with their body, because let's say maybe you have an injury and now you're doing something and your body is screaming, your back is hurting. What is your body going to do? It's going to go into a guard mode because that doesn't feel good. So when it tightens up, what does tension do? It limits your mobility. So in order for your body to let go and to increase mobility, it needs to relax first. And I call that a trust relationship. So if your body starts trusting you, he or she will take care of me, I can relax, and then we can grow from there. Versus, well, I have been a couch potato for the past 20 years, and now I'm going to go do, I don't know, some crazy boot camp class, and then I'm going to blow my knee off. I mean, that is not a good relationship with your body. So we have to be kind and gentle and loving and treat movement as a gift to our body.
Yeah.
And that's a very different mindset. So I encourage people to even picking up the workout or the movement that you do for the day. So let's say you're going to do a workout after we get off this call. Do you pause and check in with yourself? How does my body feel now? Or do you already have a schedule of what you're going to do?
Most of the time, I've got a list of things that I need to tackle in my head. So, yeah, so I hear you. Slow down, take a moment to check in with your body. Check in with
And
your
then when you start moving, be intentional, be present in the body.
body.
Which muscle do I feel like I'm working? Am I tensing my neck when I'm working? Does something feel like it's pulling and doesn't feel good? How can I adjust that? How can I modify? These are all tremendous lessons that we can learn into our movement. We
Yeah.
have to be patient with our body.
No, I get that. Okay, what you're talking about sounds great for somebody that is just starting to try to move more, to get more physical. Now, what about um, somebody like me? I'm going to use me as an example. Like I have a big should in my head, and then that should is that I need to be lifting weights, even just body weight more because I'm 54 years old and I know that it's really important to build muscle mass in our bodies. I do not like going to the gym. I am active. I love to ride my bike. I do a lot of walking. I kayak. But there's a big should right there, a big should that I should be doing some weight training, and I'm having a hard time getting my head around that. So how can you give me some tips? And I suppose there are others out there listening that will really relate to this. So how do we move past that mindset block?
It's a very interesting shift there because I do have clients who are athletes, right? And they're working on athletic performance. And sometimes I'll tell people, I will challenge you with a 2-pound weight. And they look at me like, what? And then when we make the movement intentional and I get them to use their core and the right muscles, and we go really slow through the range of motion, they do a few reps and they're like, oh my gosh, I am like, my muscles are shaking. Like, what is going on? So how intentional we are with the workout. Pilates is a lot of strength training. It may not appear so, but there is actually strength training into it. Is it different than lifting your body weight? Absolutely. And I'll tell you, that's another place where I think, need a mindset shift, because I was talking to a client and he had messed up his neck. And I said, so what did you do? I don't remember what he was doing, but he said, my weight was not that heavy. And I said, what were you lifting? So I'm just going to make this up. I don't remember. Let's say he weighs 200 pounds and the weight was 100 pounds. So he goes, it was only 100. And I was like, so you were lifting half of your body weight and you think that's light? And he was like, well, okay, I see where you're going with this, right? We have to think about the things that we do.
Yeah.
I have people who have gotten hurt because they have to finish those last 2 reps of whatever it is
Right.
they're doing when their neck is screaming and it's saying, please stop because this does not feel good. And now they have permanent injuries.
Right.
So that is something to think about. So my point, going back to you, is lift weights. You don't have to lift heavy weights to stay toned. I will personally tell you that I think as we age, bulky muscles do not serve us because they limit our flexibility. And when our flexibility is limited, that restricts our mobility. And as we age, we want to stay mobile.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to be careful with what we read and what's the newest and latest trends are. We have
Mm-hmm.
to take into the account, because some of my athletes, they say, wow, I'm getting weaker in the gym. And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, I used to lift this and now I cannot lift this. Why? Because now they're leveraging the correct muscles, and the correct muscles are not strong enough. They had so many compensations, and that's why they were in pain. But now when they're training the right muscles, they're like, wow, I can lift the same weight, and it's okay.
Yeah.
You're training the right muscles. You're actually going to get strong in a safe way. That's something to be cheered. But we're so focused on how much weight am I lifting?
Right.
What's my press like? And stay active, like, I mean, women and osteoporosis, now we have a lot of even the cognitive diseases. And if you do intentional movement and you stay really intentional with your movement, there is research that shows that movement is great for cognitive health too.
Yeah, I've read some articles about that, supporting my get out and walk theory and how beneficial it is. All right. So just trying to shift my mindset. I'm wanting to be more interested in, and not necessarily the gym, but more interested in doing some weight training and body weight training specifically. And I'm struggling with the wanting. Now, would you recommend that I should just focus on the like visualize the outcome I want to have for myself? Is that something that will help me with the desire to do this? Is it something I don't want to even use the word should, but maybe I do need to use the word should. Maybe this is something I just need to do.
Is it? Who
Well,
said you need to do that?
I feel like, okay, so I have this vision of this body I want to have. And I've been actually starting to meditate on that a little bit more. And I do know that I am a little more motivated because I've got this vision in my head of the woman I want to be, and that includes a really healthy, fit body, not muscular, but lean and fit. So that is helping. I still have to push myself to do, I only do like a 20-minute body exercise workout thing in the morning. That's all I do. It's 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta do it. And I'm wanting to shift that feeling of this is something I have to do to something I look forward to doing and I want to do. But it's currently is not something I'm really excited about. I'm excited about my walks. I'm excited about my bike riding and my kayaking, but I feel like I need to be doing something more that is going to help me achieve the goals that I want to achieve. So I don't know if you've got any insights on that will help me stay the course.
So you know what? First of all, there was a lot of needs and shoots and musts.
Yeah, I know.
Where's that coming from? I didn't hear like, I love to do weight, so therefore I want to do
I
that.
don't love to do it. That's the problem.
So one, is there potentially something else you could, I mean, honestly, like Pilates is will create long, strong muscles. I'm just throwing that out, right? Are there other mobilities aside from the traditional straight training? Like I'm envisioning you're using free weights.
No, I'm just using body weight. I'm doing like dips on the chair, and my arms feel so sore after doing that. And push-ups and sit-ups and, lunges and just things like that. No other weights. It's just my body.
Great. And I'll tell you what works for clients is exactly what I told you before. Start doing things that you enjoy, and as your body gets stronger, like for example, let's take the plank. The plank is actually a pretty advanced exercise, as much as we see it everywhere. To do a good plank, it takes a lot. So if you don't have the right biomechanics and you're not leveraging the right muscles, first of all, you might not get the results that you want from the plank until you can get injured. If you strengthen the right muscles to where the plank is actually fun, I play with my clients and say, isn't this fun? And they always like, your definition of fun it's like weird. But also psyching them, they laugh, they say you brainwash us, because they'll do an exercise that, that is challenging. And I'll say, didn't that feel delicious into your body? And we're starting to change the mindset. We joke about it. But then they start throwing those jokes back. Oh, that felt delicious into my back. And over time, it doesn't happen overnight, but over
Right.
time, and as they start feeling stronger and better, I will tell you, they're like, huh, you know, now I'm going to do a strength training routine. And now they're exciting. It's not because they have to or they want to, but because they're feeling better and stronger. And it's a totally different energy that you're going into that versus I dread the next 20 minutes. I have to do something I despise doing on top of everything else that
Right.
I have, right?
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that first your language that you're using is going to help change your mindset. So you got to be positive, excited, use words that are delicious and fun and the positive reframe. Okay, so I'll start paying attention to the language I'm using about around exercise. And then the second thing I'm hearing from you is that once you start seeing the achievements, that's when it actually really does get fun and exciting. And I can relate to that. Like when you have success, it feels good, and then it motivates you to keep going. Okay, and I guess the first thing I heard from all that too was maybe find another way that is more exciting to you. So I've actually never done Pilates. I know nothing about Pilates, so I should maybe explore that.
Session in Pilates. But one thing I want to mention on success, because success and tying achievement, especially when it gets to fitness, can become a dangerous place. Why? Because we expect that we're going to do something for a week and we're going to miraculously get the body that we want, you know. So when clients come and they say, well, how long till, let's say, my back pain goes away? And I ask them, well, how old are you? So if they say 55, I'm like, okay, so you have 55 years of habits we have to get out.
Oh,
Just give them
Jesus.
perspective, right? Because we have to start changing the mindset around that. And instead of beating your body into submission and into doing something that doesn't feel good, let's embrace the journey that takes us there. Oh, you know what? I did my planks and look at that. I feel like I'm sitting taller and more confident just because I have done it, right? So let's take those little wins and not be
Yeah.
so focused on whatever,
Right.
however you define success.
I think that that's probably a really good mindset hack is to look at the little wins. Yeah.
And be, you know, and the other thing we can go with that can be like a whole other episode, body image, you know, that is something that has
Yeah.
become so big nowadays. And we have the apps and the filters and the stuff, and we see so much stuff that is unrealistic. And, you know, I have a lot of women who are middle-aged. I am middle-aged. And there are some things will change. Listen, can we have an honest conversation? Gravity is a thing.
It totally
Things
is.
will shift,
Man.
right? So let's be realistic about it. And you know what? Let's embrace it and let's
Yeah.
joke about it. It is what
Yeah.
it is. You know, chasing something and beating on ourselves for, you know, gravity ain't gonna change. So, you know, you do the best that you can, you feel strong and confident. There is power in being strong. And I think we have forgotten that's part of the mindset shift. There is power into being strong and mobile.
And that's part of the mindset shift that society needs to take, isn't it? And the whole approach to the body and what we're seeing in the media and being told constantly that we're not enough. You're right. That's a totally different episode, and maybe it's we should have a talk about that sometime too. Because how do we, it's in our faces all the time. So we are fighting, like we're trying to create the right mindset, yet we're having images shown to us constantly, being told by the media, by the TV, by whatever, that we have to be a certain way to be loved, to be accepted, to be, proved. So it's interesting. So we're fighting a much bigger mindset than just our own mindset. Very
Yeah, absolutely.
interesting.
That's when the industry needs like an
Yeah.
overhaul. And we have to start talking about these things and really
Yeah.
thinking about them, because you're an active person and you're like, I don't want to do this. Imagine people who don't move and are thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do 20 minutes of that, right? The chances of them doing them consistently are not high.
Right. Right. Very good. Very interesting conversation. Lots to think about here. I noticed your website. I should probably spend some more time on it. You offer some online Pilates classes, I think. Do you not?
Yes, you do.
Okay. I might be checking that out.
Yes, check them out. You should totally come check out the class. I do that for people because it's a different experience. And I had somebody email me after a class and she said, I have never heard anybody in fitness say, meet your body where it is. And I
Mm,
think that's, again, part of the whole mindset shift because I
right.
fully believe in that. And I encourage people to do what they can do and what feels good for their bodies.
Yeah.
So anyways, I do offer some, opportunities to check out classes and see if you like my style because
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, I will definitely check that out. And I will put the link to your website in our show notes so other people can check it out. What is the website? Just verbalize it so people can hear it.
It's rebellious-studio.com.
Okay, rebellious-studio.com. Awesome. Okay. Oh, what a great conversation with my new friend, not the communist. Oh, good stuff. I really enjoyed all this stuff today, and I know that the Joyful Journey are listening got some good value out of this too. So thank you so much, Maria, for sharing your wisdom with us and your heart and your soul and your story. And I really look forward to checking out your online courses. That might be my next thing, my next movement. Might be Pilates.
I
Awesome.
love it. Thank you, Anita. I appreciate you. Thank you for the opportunity to share with your tribe.
Yeah, wonderful. And Joyful Journeyer, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you know anybody who needs to hear this show that needs a mindset shift, please share this with them. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in.